How long should my stabilizers be? This is one of the most common questions that we get asked here at RamRods Archery, and it's a big deal because unless you're shooting barebow, we need to make sure that you have stabilizers that are working with you in the way that you shoot your bow. If things are too long, then it can feel cumbersome, sluggish, or unresponsive. If things get too short, it can feel jittery, twitchy, or generally unstable. In this video, we're going to walk you through a step-by-step process that puts all of our combined archery knowledge into one system that when we get to the end, you're going to be confident in choosing which lengths are right for you. Let's get into it. Now, if you've already got a great theory for how to choose stabilizer lengths, or you have something that you're happy with, this video might not be for you. But if you're feeling a little lost and you want some help on finding a solid starting point or fine-tuning what you already have, stick around and I'm going to walk you through how I help archers find the right fit for them. We collected a ton of data from our team to put together this formula and combined that with about a decade of experience making recommendations to customers and athletes just like you. So we're confident that we've put together a system that accounts for a wide range of variables from draw length, height, draw weight, shooting style, other preferences, and combined it all into one to make sure that we set you off on the right track. And almost every athlete that we sponsor falls within 1 inch of the recommendation you're about to get. Step number 1 is determining your front system length. That is the measurement from the front of the riser, where your stabilizer or extension mounts to the bow, all the way to the end of your front rod, not counting weights or dampers. For example, let's say an archer's using a 3-inch extension, an adjustable V-bar, a quick disconnect, and a 27-inch front rod. Their total system length is about 32 inches. The math is 3 plus 1.5 plus 27 equals 31.5 or 32 if we want to round. We're saying that on average a V-bar and quick disconnect or V-bar and eye bolt are taking up about 1.5 inches. So you can use that number for yourself. Another example could be no extension with a fixed V-bar, an eye bolt, and a 28-inch front rod. That front system length would be 30 inches. No extension plus 1.5 plus 28 equals 29.5, or about 30 inches. We're using inches here, but this works in centimeters too, so feel free to use whatever unit of measurement you prefer. So to find your recommended front system length, take your height and multiply it by 0.48. In other words, your total front system length should start at 48% of your height. Let's say you're 6 feet tall, or 72 inches. Multiply 72 times 0.48, and you will get 34.6 inches. So your recommended front system length is 34.5 inches. We have a chart that does the math for you, and we'll put a link to that in the description so you can go check that out on our website. Now, you might be wondering why we're using height as our metric here. And the reason is we looked at height and draw length as contenders for this formula and pretty much found the same exact results with both. Most people know their height more readily off the top of their head, and since we got the same answers either way, we went with height to keep things simple. Plus, your draw length can change from time to time, and we'd rather base the stabilizers off of a variable that's a bit more consistent. Step number 2, choose your extension length. If you want your bow to spin more, choose an extension that is 3 inches or longer. If you want your bow to spin less, choose an extension that is 2 inches or shorter. This is because using an extension shifts the center of gravity forward towards the target. And the more that we shift the center of gravity forward, the more the bow is going to be inclined to spin during follow-through. Now that we've selected your extension, we can choose how long your front stabilizer should be. We're going to take your front system length, subtract the extension, as well as 1.5 inches to account for your V-bar and eye bolt or quick disconnect, and the result is going to give us your long rod. For example, let's say you're 62 inches tall and your front system length is 30 inches. 62 times 0.48 equals 29.76, or about 30 inches. This person wants more spin, so they've chosen a 3-inch extension. In this case, we're going to take 30 inches minus 3 minus 1.5 equals 25.5. So a recommended front rod length of 25.5 inches. Or let's say you're 68 inches tall. Your front system length is 33 inches. 68 times 0.48 equals 32.64, rounded to 33 inches. You want less spin, so you choose a 1-inch extension. 33 minus 1 minus 1.5 equals 30.5. Your recommended front rod length is 30.5 inches. Let's say you're 75 inches tall. Your front system length is 36 inches. 75 times 0.48 equals 36. You want lots of spin, so you go with a 5-inch extension. 36 minus 5 minus 1.5 equals 29.5. Your recommended front rod length is 29.5 inches. Now you might be thinking, well, I can't find the exact length that this formula recommends. Don't freak out, it's okay. In that case, just add or subtract 1 inch from either the extension or the long rod until you find something that matches up within an inch of the recommendation. We saw in our data that shorter archers tended to use something slightly longer proportional to their height, and that taller archers tended to use something slightly shorter in relation to their height. This may be a matter of personal preference or the availability of different lengths of accessories. Great, we've chosen your extension and your long rod. Now we have to choose the length for your side rods. To do this, we're going to take your height and multiply it by 0.2, or 20% of your height. For example, for the 62-inch archer, that would come out to 12.4, or a 12-inch side rod. For the 68-inch archer, that comes out to 13.6, or 13 to 14-inch side rods. And the 75-inch archer is going to use 15-inch side rods. Now, if you're brand new to archery, you're done. You did it. We picked your stabilizer length. This is already a system that's going to work incredibly well for you and help you reach your potential. However, if you've been shooting for quite some time and you know yourself very well, you know your preferences, you know your shooting style, stick around. We're going to dive into a couple more factors that may shift the side rod length up or down to be an even closer match for your needs. To fine-tune side rod length, we're going to consider how much mass weight you use on your bow, how much you want the bow to spin, and how fast your shot timing is. We're going to consider shorter side rods if you want to use light mass weight, you want more spin from your bow during follow-through, or you tend to have a fast rhythmic shot process. Using shorter side rods pushes the center of gravity forward towards the target. This promotes spin, but is going to be harder to hold up with a lot of mass weight. For example, maybe you go from 13.5 down to 12, and that will be a great fit. On the other hand, you might go to a longer side rod if you want to use a lot of mass weight on the stabilizers, you want less spin from your bow, or you have a slow, methodical shot process. This is because longer side rods shift the center of gravity away from the target and towards your hand, which is going to make it easier to control high mass weights and also reduce the spin from the bow. This might work well for archers who tend to have a slower, more aiming-based shot cycle because it just slows down everything happening in your shot and makes it a little bit easier to control. So if one or more of those variables sounds like it describes your shooting, you might consider going from a 10-inch to a 12-inch, or even from a 13.5 up to a 15. And that's going to fit you well and work with your shooting style. All right, congratulations, you did it. We found your front system length. We decided how long your extension should be. We figured out the long rod, and we fine-tuned the side rods to work with your shooting style. You now have a stabilizer setup that you can be confident in, knowing that it's going to support you in shooting your best. Again, this process is intended to give you a really solid starting point. However, there is going to always be room for individuality. Not everybody fits into one little bucket, and we understand that. And you might need to tweak a little bit here or there as you get more experience, but we think this is a solid starting point for most people. If you want to learn which RamRod stabilizer fits you best, check out this video. If you want to learn more about fine-tuning your stabilizers, check out some of the great resources on our website linked below. If you got a friend that's shooting weird stabilizer lengths, send them this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.